Hi guys, and welcome back to Miss Azrael's Gaming. So today we're going to get back into Paranormasight, the Seven Mysteries of Honjo. And we left off, the last time I played, we had gotten up to 36% of the soul dredge, if I remember right. And we died when we met the woman in the park. So we're going to start back from that point and see if we can figure out how to get past her. Okay, so let's try this again. Because I've talked to her multiple ways. I took all that out for you guys so you didn't have to sit here and watch me do it. I've tried multiple different ways to do this. So we're going to try... I didn't try my items with her. I know I did try the stone. So let's go ahead and try the lighter. The 100-year lighter that saved my life. It still has a tiny bit of fuel left inside. Throw it away. Huh? Throw away this lighter? Why did I suddenly get the impulse to do that? Yes, really throw it away. Not sure why, but here goes nothing. 100 yen lighter discarded. Oh, that did it. What did you just... Why throw your lighter away all of a sudden? Huh? Well, I just kind of felt like it. How? Why is she losing it all of a sudden? Could that lighter have been what fulfilled the condition of her curse? But why? How did I... How could you? Okay, we're gonna use our curse. This can't be. My shoe. Ichi. Okay, the curse stone of the Whispering Canal has gained 25% soul dregs. Okay, so let's go to the bridge. Hey, a quick question for you. What the... Sorry, this is so sudden, but I've got to ask. You don't mind, do you? Are you a curse bearer? What? Ugh. That is creepy. Is this curse echo? Is this his curse echo? Making it obvious that he's a curse bearer himself. What's he trying to pull? Maybe he's confident that he can activate his curse before I activate mine. Gotta be careful. How should I respond here? What's that? I'm not gonna admit it. The hell is that? You took too long to answer. Huh? Plus, you glanced behind me when you saw the curse echo appeared. I knew it. You're a curse bearer too. You can stop trying to hide it now. Not that you were doing a very good job. Damn it. Yeah, you're right. I appreciate the honesty. I just want to have a nice, calm little chat. The name's Yotaro Nagamaki. My curse echo is the foot washing mansion. So young curse bearer Yotaro Namagaki. So he's a male, he's a university student. His echo is the foot washing mansion. The young man encountered at Ryogoku Bridge. He didn't hide the fact that he was a curse bearer. I don't think... Did we learn who that woman was? Yeah, I don't think we learned about her, so... A chat? I'm not going to curse first and ask questions later just because we're both curse bearers. I got a little more class than that. I hope you're smart enough to extend me the same courtesy. Alright. Fine, chat away. Thank you. Good to know I'm dealing with someone reasonable. Alright, let's talk. What do you want? Right, I'll cut straight to the chase. Will you join forces with me? Join forces to gather soul dregs? Yep, you're using your curse because there's someone you want to resurrect too, right? In that case, it'd be more effective for the two of us to work together than to do it all yourself. Think about it. We could split the work and we'd have two kinds of curses at our disposal. Working together? I hadn't thought about that before. Can the soul dregs in one curse stone be moved to another? That's a fundamental requirement for this to work. Well, we'll have to test it, and I can't do that alone either. I see. Okay, let's just go along with it for now. Alright then, if working together helps us both get what we want, maybe it's not a bad idea. Thanks, glad to be dealing with someone who can think things through rationally. But there's something I need to know in advance. Tell me. Oh, he looks evil all of a sudden. How many soul dregs do you have right now? He probably doesn't have any. Right, I have some, of course. I'm more than competent after all. I'm asking you how many. I'm at 1%, but don't worry about it. My curse is so easy to activate, I'll have plenty in no time. I bet you haven't managed to get any on your own, have you? I'm at 92. Huh? Say what? That's the amount of soul dregs I have in my cursed stone right now. What? Wait, are you serious? You're not even close to being on my level. I'll keep gathering soul dregs on my own. Let's forget all this joining focus business. Or forces business focus. You gotta be kidding me. I call your bluff. Don't think you can scare me off so easily. I see. That's too bad. If you don't feel like talking, then you leave me no choice. I even gave you a chance to come out of this live. Real shame. You're just gonna waste it. What are you... What the... Is this the voice of the curse echo? Among the 7 mysteries, the resentful memory of the foot-washing mansion is particularly strong. You can't block it out by plugging your ears. As soon as you hear the voice of my curse echo, it's the end for you. Damn it. Ooh, that sounded like we met a sticky end. Again. I have a feeling you're just gonna die in this game a lot till you can figure out what you have to do. My, Azrael, you seem to have arrived at a less than favorable result. This is mere conjecture on my part, but you have a way to evade curses that no one else is capable of, do you not? Fear not, you may make as many attempts as you please for the conversation with Yotaro. Very well, remembering to ward off the curse before it is activated. But bear in mind, Shoujo Oki has no way of realizing it himself, so you must react for him. Let's look at the bridge real quick. The large bridge here is Ryogoku Bridge. Crossing the river leads to Nihambashi Bakuraku in Cho City. Okay, so Roku Bridge is the second oldest of the main bridges spanning the Samadhi River behind the Shinjo Oshihani. During the Great Fire of Miraki in 1657, which destroyed 60 to 70% of Edo, many drowned in the Sumata River attempting to swim away from the flames, resulting in the building of bridges to be a major focus of the reconstruction efforts. Although this bridge was simply known as the Onishi, or Great Bridge, when it was first erected, the people of Edo took to calling it the Ryogoku Bridge, or Two Nations Bridge, due to its location between the provinces of Masushi and Shimosha. That's probably it, Shimosha. And this eventually became its official name. Over time, the wide roads at either side, originally intended as fire breaks, became popular locations for street performances and other events. The bridge was rebuilt following the Great Kanto earthquake and still stands to this day. Okay, so now I'm wondering because... Well, let's look at surroundings real quick and then I'll finish my thought. The canal where the one-sided reed grew is supposed to be around here somewhere, but there's no trace of it left. Okay, so I'm thinking, hey, there's a person here. I wonder if we should talk to her. What the? How did you... Oh, don't mind me. Yotaro said he wants to talk. You'd better answer quickly before... Well, you know what. Oh, don't mind me. Oops, I didn't mean to click on that again. Huh. Okay, so I've had a thought. We have to block out the voice of the echo. There are no voiceovers in this game, clearly, because I've been doing all the voiceovers and butchering all the names and stuff. I did notice in the options in audio, there's voice volume, but yet there's no voices. I'm wondering if we turn this off, if that will block it. I'm just curious. I also wonder what this is right here. It's probably something that'll open up later on. Okay, so let's try again. So I'm just gonna cut through all this. Can't believe he doubts that I have 92%. We'll just go ahead and go with fine. We'll be polite. Trick him into our web. Because I think I might have figured it out. Even though there's no audio for voices. I thought it was weird when I noticed it in the options when I was looking through it. To turn down the music a little. Yeah, see, if you notice, we don't hear that weird whispering. A voice. I don't hear any voice. What? There's no way. And yet there he is, perfectly unharmed. How? What's going on here? I don't completely understand it myself, but his curse conditions don't seem to have been met. This is my chance. Yotaro, your curse won't work on me. I'll let you off easy today, so get the hell out of here. You son of a... Fine. I'll just be on my way then. But mark my words, I'll make you regret this. Oh, I don't think so. Ah! Why? How is this? Oh, look, and that girl's like leaving. The curse stone of the Whispering Canal has gained 20% soul dregs. So we should be at 100% then. Thank God. And now I've gotten the last of the soul dregs I need. Was that just coincidence? He wasn't able to activate his curse for some reason. Things are going well. Luck must be on my side. Oh, I should check my curse stone. It should have gained a lot just now. What the? Ah! Oh, what just happened? It probably kills us. Story chart unlocked. Pardon the interruption, but I'd like to take this chance to tell you about the story chart. This is the screen which will appear when you open the story chart. From here, not only can you see the overall structure of the current story, you can also progress along different branching routes by playing past stories over and over again. Oh, okay, so this is kind of like in 999, where we could go different routes. We could call this exactly the power that Shogo Oki had sought after. Normally, you would have been able to use the story chart feature freely. However, due to certain circumstances, it's been locked until now. From here on, you will return to the story chart from time to time at breaks in the story. At those times, you will choose for yourself which story you wish to continue next. Nice, okay. By the way, should you use the story chart to replay a past event? Do you know what you must do and where? Of course you do. After all, you've gotten this far. What trigger did Yoko Fukuaga set off that led to her dying the way she did? You've come this far several times, so I have every confidence you're alright. As long as you make sure not to do that thing. What thing? However, like with the lighter and the voice earlier, Shogo Oki has no way of knowing that himself. Oh, now on that note, I'm curious. Have you determined how many people Shogo Oki has killed with his curse? Oh, I mean, it's possible if he had that stone on him, he did kill Yoko. But I don't know if she had it. I don't know who had it, to be honest. I'm guessing she did since it dropped, but then we would have died. But we killed that first guy. We killed the schoolgirl. The guy in the dark. The woman in the park. And the last guy. So that's 5. So we've killed 5 so far. I see. So that is your understanding of things. As it turns out, the correct answer is probably no one. 0. I knew it because, like, what? The stone technically did it? Well, that is all. Please continue the story at your leisure from the story chart screen. Okay, quest for the Seven Mysteries, Part 1. Kinshibori Park Part 3. So there's something here that we have to go back and do to keep her from dying. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back to this. Shogo Oki is with Yoko, Yoko, at Kinshibori Park, searching for one of the Seven Mysteries of Honjo. His interest in the occult starts to grow as he learns more about it from Yoko. Do we resume? I guess? Okay. Probably something's happening to Yoko. Whoa. What the hell? It feels like the air just changed. Yoko, are you okay? Hey, what's wrong? Stay with me. No, this can't be. No. Why? I'm not gonna voice all that. Yoko! It's no use. She's in no condition to talk. Keep yelling her name. Okay. Huh? What? Is calling her name really going to help? I'm already yelling as hard as I can. Shouldn't I look for what's causing this? There's nothing there, because there wasn't. Yoko, hang in there. Yoko, look at me. You're going to be okay. It's alright, there's nothing there. Yoko! Oh. So Shogo cries Yoko's name in a desperate attempt to wake her as she lies, unmoving on the ground. Will his pleas get through to her? Okay, so 1 a.m., Shogooki, Kinshibori Park. Huh? Oh good, you're awake. What? I am... Are you okay? You were so rattled and confused. I thought you'd really lost it. Do you feel dizzy? Have a headache? Are your humors off balance? Wait, what did you say? I think I've heard that before. You're the one who said it earlier. Oh, right. That might have been it. My humors were off balance. What back there? You ended up like that because of your humors? Yeah, I've heard that at this age, your humors being even a little bit off can be fatal. What the heck is that? What are humors? I'm glad you're back to normal now. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cause you so much trouble. But I really don't remember what happened. Sounds like what happened to me. Maybe this place is dangerous somehow. What? Are you backing out? Yeah, it just doesn't feel safe to me, and I'm worried about you. Let's call off today's investigation. Come on, I just started feeling back to normal, too. Nope, not happening. Go home. I'll even pay for your cab fare, okay? I ended up having to force a still protesting Yoko into a taxi. Even then, she still wouldn't stop complaining. So to placate her, I promised I'd search the park on my own for a little while longer. It's probably a good idea to send her home. Okay, so Kinshibori Park, Part 4. So worried about Yoko, after her bizarre incident, Shogo decides to call off their investigation into the mysteries for the night. Despite her stubborn objection, he managed to persuade her by offering to continue the search on his own. Okay, Shogooki, 5 a.m. Dang, man, he's out all night. Kinshibori Park. In further news, before dawn today, a police officer on patrol discovered a man collapsed in Samadhi City Park. Oh, now we're dead. The man was taken to the hospital, but his death was confirmed shortly after. Investigations are still underway, but police suspect a connection to the other unexplained deaths found in the area at around the same time. And we look just like she did. Paranormasight, The Seven Mysteries of Honjo. Interesting. So still after all that, we still ended up dead. Which kind of doesn't make sense if she does have the stone, because that stone is the person has to walk away from you. She didn't walk away from us. Or, I mean, we didn't walk away from her. In case in point, when we supposedly had it, she didn't walk away from us either, so... Well done in your efforts thus far. This brings Shogaoki's story to a close. But this is not the end. Far from it. In fact, this is where the story finally begins. The roots of the three protagonists have now been unlocked. Haru Sigami, a woman who lost her son when he was kidnapped and murdered. Tetsu Tsutsumi, the chief inspector of the 1st Investigation Division, who's looking into the death of an officer in the line of duty. Yaku Sakazaki, a high school girl who wants to bring her friends back from the dead, a girl who died in a suspicious suicide. Each of them is burdened with circumstances that leave them no choice but to seek the rite of resurrection. Following these three storylines will reveal the full nature of all that is occurring. With that, please enjoy the continuation of this tale. Interesting. Okay, so let's just go ahead and start at the top with not dreams. Haru Sagami. When the son of Haru Sagami was kidnapped, a botched investigation by the police resulted in the child's murder. 1 year later, Haru has hired a private investigator to help resolve the unsettled case. Late at night, while speaking to the detective at her home, something strange suddenly appears. May those who mocks fire perish in flame. Kill them. Kill them. The flame bearers. Kill them all. You've acquired the power of the cursed stone, the haunting clappers. You can use it to kill those with fire or a fire-starting device on their person. Press the use curse button to set your target alight. Oh, that's kind of crazy. Okay, so we read about the haunted clappers in the last one. Cursed power kills by burning one who is in possession of fire or a fire-starting device. Oh, that explains with our lighter, yeah. A resentful memory. Red, red, red. Everything has dyed crimson. My home is burning to the ground. It's hot, so, so hot. I must call for help, but I cannot speak. My throat must be burned up from the smoke. No, I think I'm already on fire. That's right, I'll just use the clappers. Clack, clack. Is anybody there? Clack, clack. Why is no one coming? I'm going to burn to death. How did it come to this? Oh, right, her. It must be the work of that vixen who appeared suddenly and enchanted my lord, that witch. Those hauntingly cold eyes had my lord dancing in the palm of her hand. Perhaps I was also taken in by her. How many innocent people did I lure in under orders? This must be karma. The sound of a heavy bell. It feels like my head will split open. Ah, right, the evening bell. That must be why nobody can hear the sound of my clappers. I've got to do it louder. Clack, clack. A murderous impulse seeps into my soul like thick black tar. Now. Kill. Can you hear it, curse bearer? You who so strongly desire the right. Kill them. Okay, Haru Shigami, 12 a.m. Sagami Mansion, reception room. Back with me, ma'am. Can't say I understand what just happened, but it certainly seems to have put you in a good mood. This might be the first time I've ever seen you really smile. Sweet dreams. Housewife, Haru Sagami. Okay. Female housewife has the haunting clappers. Haru is a housewife who resides in a manor near Shimoko Bridge. Her 11-year-old son, Suichi, was kidnapped and murdered about a year ago. The death was a result of a mistake on the part of the detective assigned to the case, a mistake which enraged the kidnapper and had cut him off all contact with the police, leaving no room for negotiation. The incident was covered up, and Suichi's killer remains at large, leading the aggrieved Haru to call on the services of private investigator Richter Kai to uncover the truth. The Shigema family came from a line of samurai who built their residence in Honjo during the Edo period. They assumed important positions in the police force following the Meiji Revolution, therefore protecting their family's elevated status. Even today, many in the Shigami line work as police bureaucrats and senior police officers. Haru's father sits in the upper echelons of the National Police Agency, and her husband adopted into Shigema clan through an arranged marriage, is also a highly respected agency official. However, as her family prioritizes work above all else, it wasn't long before Haru's marriage grew cold. Though she wants for nothing, she's isolated from her neighbors and withdrawn from society. Seeing her son grow into a young man gave Haru a purpose in life, but it was cut short by the kidnapping incident. Following the incident, Haru spent many days in a deep depression, breaking into sudden fits of shouting and wandering around in the middle of the night. Her cheerful, loving disposition faded away, and she took to making snide remarks at her husband, which only further soured their relationship. A few months ago, Haru's husband was transferred to another area for work and now rarely returns home, with Haru left to live in the large, empty mansion alone. As a housekeeper who has been with the family for a long time comes in to take care of all the housework, Haru has nothing but time on her hands. She had a long backstory. No. Not dreams. Sounds like something I might want to hear about. Fax machine. It can send images to other places along the telephone network. I don't really know how it works. Most houses don't have one. I rarely find a use for it. An old hanging scroll. I don't know who painted it. It's been hanging here since before I was born. An arrangement of flowers. We bring in someone to do it. I don't even know what the flowers are called. A stereo unit with separated speakers designed for home use. My husband insisted on buying one, even though he isn't one to listen to music often. Ooh, what's that? Well, I'll be damned. Is that what I think it is? Goodness, you made me jump. It's just a silly little sticker my son got from somewhere or other. He put it up just before... Well, you know what happened. I still can't bring myself to take it down. Let me take a closer look. I knew it. It's Head Hincho from way back in set number 1. This is a real collector's item. Excuse me? Don't tell me you've never heard of the mockingbirds. The what? They're the hottest new craze. Cute little birds dressed up like rough and tumble delinquents. I've never heard of them, but this certainly seems to matter to you. The best part is, nobody knows who made them. They just started showing up around town, and soon enough, they won everybody's hearts. The story goes that they've made by some anonymous artist who covertly leaves them behind in specific locations. No one knows when or where they'll show up next. They're basically an urban legend of sorts. To think one would turn up here of all places, this is a good sign, I'm sure of it. Oh, well, that's nice. Mocking chicks is the achievement. So, mockingbirds. These popular bird mascot stickers seem to pop up everywhere. Nobody knows who the legendary artist is behind these quirky birds, but they quickly became popular for their surreal yet oddly cute designs. Be in the right place at the right time in Honjo, and you might be able to find all 20 of them scattered around. Legend has it, collecting them all will bring good luck. Great, so I think we probably have to look for these. Approach the net. Bottom shelf, surrounded, jackpot by darkness. Late at night on the way home, look up at the first house. Among the morning green before hearing the histories in the bright garden if you won the lottery. Wait until you feel like yourself again, detectives in private eyes. A ringing telephone booth, the excited detective. Waiting at the entrance, in the park where sparrows sing. Waiting at the intersection on a bridge pillar at night. A unique looking playground and revisiting the park at night. So these probably a hint to where they are located. Okay, so I'm just gonna continue to look around. A colored television. Father bought one as soon as it hit the market. He likes to have the latest gadgets. Unlike the latest models, there is no remote control. We've had it for a long time. Back when it was new, we all gathered around it and marveled at it as a family. But with Father and my husband being away so often, it quickly fell into disuse. The swinging of the pendulum echoes through the room. It feels livelier than usual with Richter here. Usually it's just me. Okay, so Don't see anything on the floor, so we'll just go ahead and talk to him. Let me bring you up to speed. We were in the middle of a chat when you suddenly started spacing out, and the whole time you were grinning to yourself like you'd just won the lottery. Care to tell me what that was all about? Well, where to start? Interesting. Very interesting. So the haunting clappers curse echo appeared out of nowhere. Told you how to perform the rite of resurrection and gave you the curse you'll need to do it. Have I got that right? That's right. So it's all real. Honestly, I still find it hard to believe. But I guess I have to now. I saw that cursed stone appear in your hand myself. It looked like it popped clean out of thin air. With evidence that clear, there's no denying that there's some supernatural force at work. Okay, let's look at him real quick. I hadn't done that yet. A private investigator I hired. A friend told me about him. They said he's not very well known, but he's good at what he does. When I first visited his office in Ota City and saw how he dressed, I could hardly believe he was a detective. But after talking to him for a while, I changed my mind. He says some strange things at times, but he seems like the reliable sort. Okay, yeah, so we hadn't read this because we just had a little bit about him when we were playing as Shogo. So he's a male private investigator. He has no curse. The eccentric man that Shogo Oki ran into on Hoan Bridge, Richter is actually a private investigator with an office in Ota City, Tokyo. After taking on a request from Haru Sigma to investigate the unsolved kidnapping and murder of her son, he gets caught up in the events surrounding the rite of resurrection. Once a police officer, Richter was racked with guilt over the police's inability to help all those in need and quit the force to start his own private investigation firm. However, his soft-hearted nature leads him to take on too many cases and has put his office in dire financial straits. How he is still in business is a mystery, with some whispering that a wealthy patron is keeping him afloat. Richter studied alongside Detective Jun Iro at the police academy. So that's that young guy we met with the older detective. Somewhat surprisingly, given his outlandish clothing and mannerisms, Richter excels at covert investigations and tailing his targets. He proudly refers to himself as an investigator extraordinaire, though that only ever succeeds at impressing himself. Richter's biggest source of happiness is nuzzling his pet female albino parakeet, Ernstine, which he keeps in his office. He also enjoys collecting mockingbird stickers, a popular line of merchandise featuring birds inexplicably dressed like delinquents, and can be frequently sighted searching around town for them. While out and about, Richter typically leaves the office, and more importantly, Ernstine, in the care of Amori, a junior high schooler who volunteered to assist Richter after being involved in a previous case. Okay, so the Azure Heron Agency, Richter Kai's private investigation firm in Kamata, Ota City. Originally, Kai thought to give it a simple name like Kai's Detective Agency, but upon hearing that people are more likely to pick names listed at the front of the phone book, alphabetically, he decided to pick a name starting with an A. Thus, the Azure Heron Agency was established. However, it is questionable whether the heron, a bird of somewhat ominous significance, is an effective symbol for attracting customers. Even his own assistant has referred to the name as confusing at best. After all, rather than an azure heron, Richter keeps a white parakeet as a pet and dresses not in blue, but mostly in white. If there was a symbolic connection to be made here, it has surely been lost on all but Richter himself. A private investigator, also known as Private Eye, is a detective who operates their own agency. Although there are no formal qualifications necessary to become a private investigator, many are retired police agents or detectives due to the similarities between the work involved. At a glance, private investigator firms and inquiry offices might look similar, but they carry out different types of investigations. Inquiring offices specialize in conducting credit checks on businesses, while private investigators are generally involved in tailing persons of interest and gaining information serendipitously. I don't think you quite understand. Oh? This isn't about evidence, and it isn't about belief. It's more than that. I know it's real. The moment the curse appeared, I knew everything before it even said a word. It was already there in my head, as clear as day. You just knew, huh? It was etched onto my soul, along with the curse's echoes, resentful memories. so I can feel it, what it was like. Dying like they did hundreds of years ago, wreathed in flame, writhing in pain as my flesh blackens and my blood boils. I can feel it, all the agony, all the rage. It fills me with bloodlust. I think I need to kill someone. Anyone will do, just as long as they're carrying fire. I see. That could be a problem. You think so? From what I know of you, I was sure you'd see it as an opportunity. The stronger the desire to resurrect someone, the stronger the urge to kill. That's how it seems to me, anyway. Good grief, talk about a spanner in the works. I say we take stock for a moment, remind ourselves where we've come from and where we're going. That might be a good idea. About the investigation. That's what you hired me for, ma'am. To look into your son's kidnapping last year. To uncover the truth behind the abduction and murder of Soichi Shigema. Ah, yes, I remember. They never did find the one who did it. That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here about today, in fact. Kind of you to let me drop by so late, by the way. I've been turning over every last stone, and I've come up with a grand total of 1 lead. So you said. As far as the police are concerned, it's a cold case, but I managed to make some headway. I remember, you were just about to tell me. So the Shigema kidnapping, a kidnapping murder case that took place in Honjo, Sumada around 1 year ago. Haru Shigema's son, Suichi, age 11, was kidnapped on his way home from school, with a ransom being demanded that same evening. Initially, the kidnapping was thought of as a simple extortion scheme, but when it came to light that this Shigema family was closely tied to the police, and Suichi was in fact the grandson of a senior official, it was quickly assumed that the perpetrator was acting upon a grudge against the police force. The kidnapping was treated as a direct attack against the good name of the police, and a large-scale investigation was launched that used the best equipment available to trace phone calls. This made it all the more embarrassing when they were unable to catch the culprit, losing the public's confidence. The culprit grew cocky, relentlessly mocking the police force. After 3 days of failure after failure, Haru reached a breaking point. Spurned by the concern for her son, she resolved to hand over the ransom money as fast as possible, but her husband and father, who held the prestige of the police in high regard, refused, saying that they would not let the criminal win by giving in to their demands. The increasingly frantic detective assigned to the case lost his temper when the criminal called to give an ultimatum, causing the culprit to never make contact again. Another week passed and Suichi's body was found floating in the Sumada River. Suichi's death could be largely ascribed to the police's incompetence, but this was ultimately covered up with stringent media embargoes. The investigation was never closed, but the case has long gone cold. Okay, so Suichi Shigema, male, elementary school student. He didn't have a cursed echo. The only son of Haru Shigema. He was kidnapped and murdered 1 year ago. His body was discovered floating in the Sumada River. Suichi was a conscientious, brave young man who was determined to protect his mother Haru amid his father's frequent absences. He dreamed of becoming a police officer and displayed diligence and an impressive sense of responsibility from a young age, likely due to being raised in an extremely strict environment. Born in the early 70s, he spent his days immersed in various activities and studies, including playing piano, learning the abacus, taking English lessons, and training in kendo. Suichi's tendencies to put other people's needs over his own meant he died without ever telling his classmates how much he longed for them all to go out on a hunt for mockingbird stickers. Okay, about the investigation. We still need to figure out exactly what you want me to do. Tell you what, why don't I tell you what I found and then we can make a decision, all right? Oh, I guess I gotta click on something else. About the kidnapping. I suppose there's not much point going over the kidnapping itself. No, I'm very familiar. Now I'll leave that for the files to cover and just confirm a few things about the case. The police traced the culprit's calls back to, let's see here, northern Oyoko River here in Sumida City. That's quite a wide area. That's right. In the end, they never managed to nail down exactly where the calls were coming from, but it was almost certainly the same location that Suichi was being held captive, since Suichi's voice could be heard during the killer's calls. Northern Oyoko River is quite a distance from Suichi's normal school commute, factoring in that he was seen at school but went missing before he arrived at his house. It's likely that he was abducted by car on his route home. Maybe, but... Exactly. Soichi was a clever boy. He never would have gotten into a car with a stranger. That's right. I was very firm about that. I know he understood, too. I even saw him warning the other children. It's possible that they forced him into the car. The only issue there is, there weren't any witnesses to the kidnapping. You can't bundle someone into a car with that many students around and not be noticed. But nobody came forward to say they saw anything suspicious. So did they target him at some other time or somewhere away from his usual route? Both of those seem a little far-fetched. Which raises the question, how did the kidnapper pull it off? The police never managed to find an answer. In the end, they decided that the kidnapper must have gotten lucky. Well, why not turn the problem on its head? The kidnapper managed to convince Soichi to get into their car, but how? The only thing that makes sense to me is if they were somebody he would have reason to trust. Yeah, like somebody he knew. A teacher perhaps, or a relative, or somebody else that he knew. But all the adults Soichi knew had alibis. The police checked them all thoroughly. They did, huh? No one throws numbers at problems like the cops. But what if it wasn't someone he knew? Or rather, what if the culprit disguised himself as a police officer? That would explain why he didn't find them suspicious. The Shigema family has close ties with the police, after all. He would have had a reason to trust them. You might be right, but surely that couldn't have... Well, there's a problem with the theory. You'd be surprised how much police officers stand out. That's sort of the point, after all. They're meant to be a visible deterrent against crime. But here's another interesting little bit of trivia I happen to know. When you ask people to imagine someone suspicious, nobody pictures women or children. Even kids who have been warned about stranger danger often subconsciously expect that danger to look like an adult man. Besides, Soichi was the sort of boy who wanted to be a police officer when he grew up. He must have had a very strong sense of right and wrong. That's right. Wait, surely you can't mean... Now you're getting it. If, say, a young woman approached Soichi asking for help, what would he have done? If someone like that said they were lost and asked him for directions, would he have gotten into a car? He might have. My husband always told him that a man had a duty to watch out for women and children. You could certainly argue that kind of attitude is outdated nowadays, but if Soichi believed it, then we might have something here. Then you think the culprit was a young woman? But it was a man's voice on the phone. She might have been an accomplice, or maybe she didn't even realize she was being used. If anything, that would explain why she hadn't come forward. She herself might not realize she had anything to do with the case. So the question is, did anybody see Soichi speaking with a young woman on the day of his disappearance? See what I said about these people's biases? That goes for witnesses too. And I figured that maybe if I started asking new questions, I might get some new answers. So I spent my days asking around Soichi's school route, seeing if anyone had seen something. And one man thought he had. Do you mean he saw it happen? Well, I can't say that for sure yet. It turned out he wanted something from me, so he asked if we could talk in private. Several hours earlier. Alright, this should do. There's no one around. We can speak in confidence. Excuse me, what was your name again? Jonochi. Got it. Well, Jonochi, I'm all ears. Just so we're on the same page, you're a private detective investigating Soichi Sagema's kidnapping. Do I have that right? Of course, what else do I look like? How should I know what a private detective looks like? Oh, forget it. Look, I'll tell you straight. My life is in danger. I need your help. You'll excuse me if that caught me a little off guard. Let me ask you straight. Who's trying to kill you? A student called Michio Sarishisha. Oh my, I'm butchering these names horribly. Interesting. A schoolgirl, eh? Sounds like you've been naughty. It's nothing like that. That girl, she's a murderer. I'm the only one who knows, but I saw what she did. Michio Shiraishi. I saw her kidnap Soichi these names. Shigema. Come again? I saw her talk to him on the street and lead him away. I didn't think much of it at the time, but then he went missing. She murdered him, I'm sure of it, or at least she's got something to do with it. That's what you're here for, isn't it? Then you can't let her get me. If that's true, you've been sitting on some valuable information. Why didn't you tell anybody? Well, you see, if you can't explain that, I don't have any reason to believe you. I couldn't. She told me she'd kill me if I spoke a word. You're telling me a schoolgirl had you scared for your life. So you've been sitting on that all this time, and you think she's coming for you now that you've spilled the beans? Yes, that's exactly it. I'm begging you, don't let her get me. Arrest her, I'm telling you she's a demon. Well, you seem to believe what you're saying, but it just doesn't add up. How could a schoolgirl have a fully grown man so terrified? You don't know what she can do. She'll curse me. Curse you? I'm sorry, but you're losing me here. It's true, her house, forget it. Why do I even bother? You seem dubious enough to believe me, but I should have known you'd never understand. Enough. I'll find someone else to help me. Hey. And that's about the long and short of it. I can hardly believe it. At the time, I thought that his mentions of curses was just crazy talk, but I'm starting to see that there might have been more to it. Nope. Hold on. Then, if we can just find that girl. Okay, because I accidentally clicked. Curse or no curse, if she was with Suichi on the day of the kidnapping, then there's a good chance she knows something. On top of that, I did some digging on the man I spoke to. His full name's Kohei Junoichi. He's a teacher at Komagata High School here in Sumida. A teacher? Then this schoolgirl is one of his students. I think that's very likely. At last we've got a lead. Hopefully it'll be the breakthrough we're looking for. The Rite of Resurrection, huh? I read about it in an occult magazine the other day. Apparently some old book showed up recently with all the gory details. And they say that the rite can be found somewhere here in Honjo. I remember the first time you told me about it. It felt like my prayers had been heard. Like I had hope, real hope, for the first time. Ever since that awful day, I've wondered, what if I hadn't sent him to school? What if I just paid the ransom? Not a day goes by when I don't think that I have done something differently. Suichi would still be alive. You can't blame yourself, ma'am. It was the culprit's fault, not yours. Though I know that won't help any, grief is funny like that. I'm guessing that's why you're after the rite. Guess I didn't need to ask. It's written all over your face. I can tell how much he meant to you. But, and this is a big but, if this rite is the real deal, using it will mean killing someone and stealing their soul. Is that a problem? If it comes to it, I'm afraid I'll have to stop you. Oh, that's a shame. Shame, huh? That's all? I thought, if I'm going to be competing with other curse bearers, then your detective skills might come in useful. You realize you're talking about ending someone's life, right? Don't you see an issue with that? I think any parent in my position would happily kill for a chance like this. That's so, is it? Dear, oh dear, what have I gotten myself into? If it makes you uncomfortable, then you won't have to get any blood on your hands yourself. I don't need you to kill the other curse bearers. I only need you to find them. I won't be party to murder, ma'am, not even for a client. That's a shame. Let's go with I'll pay you. How much can I give you to change your mind? Sorry, ma'am, but not everyone has a price. I've got my policies and I stick to them. I see. I didn't realize you were so stubborn. Let me say, though, it's not like I don't get what you're going through. As long as you're not killing anyone with your own hands, maybe I can help you out. What do you have in mind? Well, how about stealing someone else's curse stone after they filled it with soul dregs? If that was all you were after, then I could lend you my services guilt-free. If the other curse bearers want to kill each other, that's their business. I'm not trying to be a hero here. I guess there's no guarantee a stolen curse stone will work, but we can worry about that later. Well then, I suppose we have a deal. Although, what if I stole a curse stone using my curse? Would you disapprove? That would void our contract, ma'am. Just warning you now. My. About my curse. Before we go any further, why don't you tell me about that curse of yours? The haunting clappers, was it? That's one of the 7 Mysteries of Honjo, if I remember correctly. That's right. The original story did happen somewhere near here. I'm sure I remember hearing that. In that case, my money would be on all the curse bearers being somewhere in Honjo. Our first move should be to narrow them down. Some of them are bound to try and come for you first. We'll need to be ready. The curses make their bearers more willing to kill, so an attack could come from anywhere. That sounds sensible? And if I remember correctly, your haunting clappers can set people on fire, but only if they have a naked flame or a lighter on their person. Is that right? That's right. In olden times, wooden clappers were used to warn people of fire. I'm guessing it punishes those who don't heed the warning. It seems like a good curse to have. It's simple and straightforward enough to use. Although it's hard to say how it stacks up without knowing what else is on the table. You really think it's that good? The target can't do much to throw it off, and has a nice long activation window. It's big that it works on lighters, too. Just slip one into your target's pocket. And say that condition were already fulfilled before they even knew you're there. They wouldn't even know what hit them. Maybe. I won't have to actually use it. I could just tell someone I could, and they'd have to do what I say. Threats could work, although without any proof, it'll come down to how convincing you can be. If only you could use the curse, then back out at the last second. At the last second? What an interesting idea. I have a lighter right here. We could try it now. That's an interesting proposition. But maybe not. I'm not quite crazy enough to make myself a guinea pig. Oh, I see. You're an odd one, ma'am, if you don't mind me saying, and I don't think it's just the curse. You flatterer. How is that flattering? As for what we do next, first of all, I think you should stay indoors. Try not to do anything spontaneous or outside of your normal routine. Okay. Right then, have you decided what you want me working on? Help me with the right, investigate the kidnapping. I'm gonna go with the kidnapping. Finally, I have a lead. I need to know what happened to my son. Your wish is my command, ma'am. I'll focus all my efforts on looking into the kidnapping. Although, something just occurred to me. You can't investigate the matter at night, can you? At least until the sun rises. Could you search for the other curse bearers? Alright, I see how it is. Well, I'd be happy to help. Odds are good that the other curse bearers are also working by night. Anyone they kill under the cover of darkness won't be discovered until sunrise. I bet they'll be trying to do as much as they can before morning comes. So it's settled then. I'll look into the other curse bearers by night. And once the city wakes up, and I can start asking questions, I'll investigate the kidnapping as well. I'll even try and find Miss Surishi as part of the bargain. Thank you. That's more than enough. Okay, so we've asked him about everything. Let's see. Try thinking. My heart's still racing. This is it. My chance, at long last. Okay, so we've asked him everything. I think we've looked at everything in the room as well. Except for the chandelier, apparently. The lights. The chandelier is the only thing in here that's my choice. It's my favorite part of the room. Okay, we looked on the hanging scroll. Can we do anything else with this? I already discovered it, so... Okay, and I don't have a move feature of the guest table. The guest table. I don't know where Father got this old thing from, but I've never liked it. Okay. Oh, phone. Telephone. This mansion has a private line. Okay, that did move it along. Okay, how do we get out of here? Okay, now then. I guess I had to look at everything. I should get to work. There's only so much time before sunrise. I'll call you if I find out anything new. You stay here and keep a lookout. Alright. There's no telling what kinds of curses you might find out there on the streets tonight. Don't go outside if you can help it, and try to be ready for anything. I will. Well, if that's all, I should be going. Okay. Let's move on to a nice thought. Summary previous event. Despite having obtained the curse of the haunting clappers, Haru Shijima is determined to use the rite of resurrection by stealing the remaining curse stones. She instructs her private investigator Richter to find the other curse bearers. Haru Shijima, 1 a.m. Shijima Mansion reception room. It's been almost an hour since Richter left. He promised he'd call me if anything happened. But he hasn't. So all I can do is wait and wait. Newspaper. What's this? A newspaper. Must have fallen off the chair. Let's read it. It's a newspaper. I only leave them in here for the guests. I hardly ever read them myself. I don't think I've taken the time to go over one in years, in fact. Well, it's not like I have anything better to do. Goodness gracious. Okay, so let's start with the society articles. Looks like the city's biggest problem right now is pollution. I remember how the air and water used to be even more polluted. The river was covered in scum from all the sewage and industrial waste, and it stank so badly it make my eyes water. Eventually, people started getting sick, and it couldn't be ignored anymore. Fortunately, it's gotten better since then. Although the air around the industrial district is still filthy with gas and smog. Okay, economy articles. All sorts of articles about the current state of the economy. Now that the post-war boom has passed its peak, we're moving to the era of large corporations. It's about 220 to 230 yen to the dollar. Manufacturing is on the rise and exports are healthy. The dollar's down from its height and people are saying it could fall further. There's no denying how much the standards of living has improved in the past few years. It's common to own a car and television now, and supermarkets are better stocked than ever. Culture? Now that everyone has more spending money to go around, people are coming up with all kinds of new diversions. It seems like only yesterday that people were flocking to the arcades to shoot aliens, but now we have these enormous theme parks and gaming machines that plug straight into our own televisions. Everyone's talking about superhero series, foreign films, and movies based on the latest bestseller. Back in my day, fusion rock and folk music was all the rage. But now it's all about city pop and idols. I find it hard to care about that sort of thing anymore. Okay, education. Everyone attends high school now, even girls. Universal education policy, they call it. The country's gotten rich enough that every child can go to school. Education is the backbone of modern society. If you want to work for a good company, you have to get into a good university. With more people in the running than ever, the competition to get in... get into those universities has gotten fierce, though. The new generation is rebelling. Schoolyards, violence, and delinquency are on the rise. But my boy was too sensible to get mixed up in any of that. I don't want to read anymore. It only reminds me of him. Too bad, I'm going to read this one. I don't really watch much television. It feels as if all the information in the world gets passed through that little black box. But Father stopped them from reporting on the kidnapping back when it happened. I was glad about that. Less fuss. We didn't get a X. I wonder if there's more. If there's one thing Honjo never wants for its horrific crimes. They found a police officer dead in a local park just the other day. A lot of my family are in the police. I hope it wasn't anybody I knew. I don't read the news anymore. Not since last year. It brings back bad memories. Suicide at local high school. Oh, I remember that. A high school girl jumped off a roof about a week ago. She was bullied, I think. Or maybe it was something about exam pressure. Those are two different things. What? But... no, this can't be right. Her name. Michio Shiraishi from Komagata High School. It can't be. Although with everyone flocking to the city, land prices are skyrocketing. Nowadays, most people can only dream of home ownership. The city center going to be nothing but apartments before long. I'm not exactly a businesswoman, so this all feels like another world to me. I hear the new big thing is some mascot's line of delinquent birds. Mockingbirds, I think it's called. Was that what Richter was talking about? Trends seem to have some such short shelf lives now, with how quickly the times are changing. I think I'm just too old to keep up anymore. It's young people who are leading the way with their modern world views. My generation will only fall further behind. Now the comedy boom is over, all the comedians are flocking to other genres. The occult seems really popular at the moment. Look at all these paranormal specials. Okay, so we read everything on the newspaper. Okay. The flowers put me at ease just a little. That old hanging scroll. I've seen it too often to feel anything from it now. Should I put a record on? No, it's too late for that. I'm not in the mood for music anyway. Well, maybe I was. Can't look at the bird. There's nothing on at this hour. I see no point in turning it on. It's a fax machine. I rarely find a use for it. I don't know anybody else who owns one. The ticking seems so loud. It just goes to show how quiet it is. I'm waiting for Richter to contact me, but he hasn't. I made sure the receiver is on the hook. It'll ring as soon as he calls. Ah, that must be him. Seems like odd timing. Hello, Shigima residence. Better not be heavy breathing, or I'm hanging up. Haru Shigima, 2 a.m. Komagata Bridge. Richter called me out to meet him, and we came here to Komagata Bridge. Richter, there's something I need to tell you. Funny, I was just thinking the same thing. We're on Komagata Bridge over the Sumati River. There's a highway on one side and a freeway on the other, but they're both deserted this late at night. The Komagata Bridge, one of the bridges spanning the Sumata River, completed in 1927 as part of the reconstruction effort following the Great Kanto earthquake. It is notable both for its distinctive blue arches and the cutting-edge, for the time, techniques used in its construction. There are many bridges stretching across the Sumata River, each boasting a unique structural form and design. I kind of look around. Oh. The Sumata River. The water's filthy and horrid, but at night, when it's still, it looks almost peaceful. Can I ask you something, ma'am? Is the Sumata River what you Honjo folks picture when you think of home? I couldn't say. All I can tell you is that I can hardly stand the sight of it. Right, should have guessed. This was where they found him after he went missing, all alone, floating in that horrible water. All I can think is how scared he must have been, how cold he must have been. What did he ever do to deserve something so awful? I've come here every day since then, and I prayed to the river to give him back, to give me back my son, day after day after day. You know, in olden times, people believed rivers marked were where our world met the next. So the act of crossing flowing water had a huge amount of spiritual significance. Back when Edo was founded, the people of Cho saw the Sumati River the same way. They associated the far side of the river with the afterlife. That same place would later become Honjo. All their fears and revulsions accumulated there and took root. But then the Ryogoku Bridge sprang up after the Great Fire of Miraki, and just like that, Honjo was part of the city too. As it turned into farmland into a town, the people surrounding it with man-made rivers and crisscrossed it with canals and waterways. Weren't those to prevent flooding? That's what I was told. They were, but that's not all they were used for. Their other purpose was to contain all the corruption that had built up on the far shore, and stop it leaking through to our side of the Great Divide. Officially, they were a physical barrier, but unofficially, they were a spiritual one too. So, if I have this right, are you saying that Honjo is a place where the real world meets the afterlife? Exactly. That's why the rite of resurrection is here rather than anywhere else, I'm sure of it. And it's probably why the Seven Mysteries and their curses have survived to the modern day. And I guess that would make this spot we're standing now right over the water, the border between life and death. If there was ever a place where bringing back the dead might be possible, I reckon it's here. It's funny that you mentioned praying to the river. That might have done more than you think. Is that supposed to make me feel better? Just thinking out loud, ma'am. Well, it's a nice thought. So Sumada River, a Class A river that's part of the Arakawa River system, which runs through much of eastern Tokyo and empties into Tokyo Bay. During the Edo period, Sumadi's riverbanks played a key role in the transportation of lumber used for construction. In addition to its logistical importance, it was also a place for the common folk to gather and enjoy activities such as seasonal flower viewing or river bathing, and there exist many woodblock prints depicting such activities. The area became plagued with sewage issues when the surrounding environs were industrialized in the post-World War period, but the situation has improved since. Many unique bridges span the Sumadi River, including the Ryuko and Azumabashi bridges, which attract a large number of visitors as sightseeing spots. Massive fireworks displays in the summer are also always sure to draw a crowd. The river has served as a cornerstone for both the city and its people, having both aided in its development and serving as an inspiring backdrop for countless works of art and literature. Okay, surroundings. He's gazing down at the water. What does he see down there, I wonder? Okay, so it looked like the water could still be clicked on. Oh, that's right. There's one more memory I have of this river. Do you mind if I tell you? Go ahead. It must have been about 20 years now, when I was still a schoolgirl. Back then, the Sumada River was much filthier than it is now. It was full of garbage and industrial discharge. It was scummy and slimy, and it stank. You could look out over the water and see dead cats and dogs and pigeons just floating. And one day, among all the filth and garbage, there was a piece of my missing classmate's hand. What? It was almost a miracle when you stopped to think about it. What were the chances that someone would find a part of her that was still recognizable? And that, although everything but the palm had rotted away in the water, the part that was left would have had an unidentifiable scar, and that they could tell it had been a murder from the blade marks on the bone. Wait, are you talking about the Nijima murders? So you have heard of it. I'm impressed. I assume you were but an elementary schooler at the time. I wasn't really aware of it then. I only heard about it after the fact. I had no idea the victim was a classmate of yours. So the Nijima murders, a notorious case from over 2 decades ago involving the murder of a female high school student. It first came to the attention of the authorities when part of a human left hand was discovered floating in the Sumadi River. Testing revealed it to belong to a missing female high school student. As it appeared to have been severed deliberately, the police launched a murder investigation. A large-scale search of the river was organized, but the highly polluted state of the water made this impossible. Visibility was poor, the stench was intense, and the divers quickly fell ill. They succeeded in recovering only the victim's head, which had appeared to have been part of her head and what appeared to be part of her leg before the search was called off. At the time of the incident, the Sumadi River was as polluted as it had ever been. Neither fish nor shellfish could survive in it, eventually causing the annual fireworks festival to be called off indefinitely. Over the course of the search, the police discovered a number of unidentified human bones. This caused a stir among the public, as several other young women had gone missing in the recent years in the Tokyo area, and it was feared that they may have fallen victim to the same fate. Forensic technologies at the time, however, were not advanced enough to determine the identities of the deceased, and so the police were unable to open any inquiries. Due to the overwhelming lack of circumstantial evidence, the investigation ground took a halt until a hitherto unrelated individual came to its attention. During a questioning about a separate incident, Fumichika Nijami, a 36-year-old shop owner with no relation to the victim, divulged details about her that had never been released to the general public. An investigation into his background was conducted, leading to his arrest. Najima testified that he had snatched his victim from the street and confined her in the underground storeroom of his shop, which also served as his living quarters. He chose her for no special reason, but simply decided she was an opportune target on seeing her walking alone at night. After keeping her locked up for several days, he restrained her, sewed her mouth shut, and severed her fingers and toes with a box cutter while she was still conscious. As she screamed silently behind her sealed lips, he proceeded to her wrist, her ankles, her elbows, her knees, working his way inwards slowly and methodically. His victim constantly wavered in and out of consciousness. Her ordeal continued until she died of blood loss. Najima dismembered the rest of her body and disposed of it behind his home in the Samadhi River before cleaning his storeroom and returning to his everyday routine as if nothing had happened. The brutality of his actions shocked the nation when they were eventually reported. Good Lord. Once apprehended, Najima readily divulged the details of the murder, but was less willing to explain his motive. When asked, he would only break down in tears, saying, "I don't know what came over me. I know it was wrong." In the end, the police could extract nothing more from him than expressions of remorse. Although the efficiency of his methods strongly suggested that he had committed similar crimes in the past, no corroborating evidence ever came to light. Najima was sentenced to life in prison at his first hearing. The sentence was imposed with no appeal from the defendant. I mean, he was a curse bearer. Fumichika Najima, male, self-employed, nun, the man who made headlines over 2 decades ago as the perpetrator of the brutal killings known as the Najima murders. To be honest, it was all a bit of a blur. A wave of chaos just partying around me. Something like that. They said the rest of her body must have sunk to the bottom of the river. They combed the riverbed, but they only ever found pieces. Everything else must have rotted and flowed out to sea. Afterwards, I heard that all the divers who had been looking for her fell ill. A sorry story for everyone involved, huh? It's funny, everyone figures the river's filthy already, so one more piece of garbage won't hurt. But every little bit makes it worse. It's a vicious cycle. I know I wouldn't want to go rooting around down there myself. That's right, which is why the riverbed is the last place anybody would go looking. Or so is the killer's thinking, I suppose. The times were changing quickly back then. Things were confusing. Everyone seemed to be in a hurry. Young people were moving to Tokyo in droves. Some even ran away from home to make it in the big city. And they made easy targets for bad people. A lot of them ended up disappearing without a trace. You see, back then, if you chopped a body up into tiny pieces and threw it in the river, it would rot quickly and discreetly and sink to the bottom, never to be seen again. Are you saying what I think you're saying? They arrested him shortly after. Fumichika Najima, the man who killed my classmate and cut her into pieces. He was so methodical about it couldn't have been his first crime, and people began to wonder how many other girls he murdered the same way. The police never found any evidence of other murders in the end, but the river knows the truth. How many corpses has it swallowed up over the years, I wonder? That same thought spread through everyone's mind, and they started to avoid this area. So really, this river has been rank with corruption for decades now. Or at least, that's how it seems to me. Well, was that interesting? Well, I can see why you don't have any good memories of this river. With all that darkness lurking beneath the surface, there's no reason that you would. Still, if I may, ma'am, I'm surprised you know so much about the Najima murders. But how could I not? After all, I was the one who found the hand. The police actually wrote me a thank you letter. They said it was only thanks to me that they managed to bring Najima to justice. That was the only time my father ever said he was proud of me. I guess it just wasn't the killer's day. Sometimes I wonder if he resents me for it. We can still click on it. Samadhi River. I have nothing but awful memories of it. Okay, so now let's talk to him. You go first. Please go ahead. Alright then. I've been poking around places connected to the Seven Mysteries looking for curse bearers, and I think I found a few candidates. First, a tall man I ran into in Kishibori Park. I asked him for directions, trying to probe him a little, but he turned the questions right back around on me. And he was out of there the second he figured I wasn't what he was looking for. I got the sense curses were nothing new to him. I'm about 40% sure he's a curse bearer. Then there's the middle-aged guy I saw on South Wagirsu Street. There's no question about this one. He had one of the curse stones in his hand. He had a nervous air about him, too. It was clear he was up to some shady business. Gathering soul dregs, I bet. He'd make a good target. Next up is a pair, a young man and a woman I saw around Ryugoku Bridge. This time the man came up to me and asked me flat out if I was a curse bearer. I told him I didn't know what he was talking about, and he backpedaled and left. Looks like they lurk around there often. Looking for kindred spirits would be my guess. It didn't seem like they were quite working as a pair. Gathering soul dregs in a group might be a decent idea if you could make it work. But with things being how they are, it's got to be hard to find folks one can trust. They've got brass, though. I don't know what their deal is, but I'd like to find out. Last is 2 detectives I've seen sniffing around. The police are involved? Not necessarily. A body turned up in a local park a few days ago, so they might just be looking into that. Still, the park's got ties to one of the 7 mysteries. Might be it was a curse that did the guy in. And if they're sending in the detectives from the head office, then something's got to be up. How do you know where they're from? Let's just say that when you're in the business, there are some faces you get to know. Anyway, that's everyone who's caught my eye. You found all of them in so little time. I really did hire the best. It's all in the name, ma'am, Richter Kai, P.I. No, wait. Make that Richter Kai investigator extraordinaire. An investigator extraordinaire. Is that why you can dress like that without drawing attention to yourself? You bet an investigator extraordinaire can blend in like a chameleon in any outfit. Well, that aside, the middle-aged man and the young couple sound the most promising, am I right? Whichever we pick, it's still too early to make a move. It seems like the curse bearers are less involved with each other than we thought. Plus, there's still others we don't know about. I say we hang fire and see how things play out. Once more bodies start showing up, that'll get the pot nice and hot. And once it's boiling, our chance will come. There's something I need to tell you. What's up? Well, that girl, Michio Sarishi, the one who was with Suichi on the day of the kidnapping, that's her. Well, she's dead. She's what? The student who committed suicide last week? That was her. I heard something like that had happened. Never got the name, though. Talk about bad luck. Finally get a lead only to find it's turned into a literal dead end. Unless her death was the whole reason Jinochi was so shaken up. He said she was going to curse him. Was he talking about her taking revenge from beyond the grave? It seems like we're back where we started. Not necessarily. That teacher knows something, I'm sure of it. At the very least, I put money on him having something to do with Miss Sarishi's death. That's why he's so scared of being cursed by her. I see. And also, something tells me he knows more about your son's kidnapping. In any case, I think I got a good idea of what he's hiding. Call it a hunch. A hunch? Well, more of a theory. Care to take a guess? Ooh, I don't know. I can guess. Can't say for certain, but... Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Let's go with the teacher. The teacher silenced the girl. Oh, I don't know. He kind of looked like the guy that he was talking about that had the curse. Let's just say with the curse. What if Mr. Jonichi silenced Michio Sarishi with a curse? What do you think? It seemed to me that he was more scared of what someone else might do. It might be a little bit far-fetched. Well, I didn't know. I see, I'm sorry if I disappointed you. I'm not really cut out to play detective. Well, no point dwelling on speculations. The truth will out in time. Right now, I think we need to have another chat with Mr. Yonoichi. Is something wrong? Not really, it just struck me. It's been 20 years since the Najima murders. So it has. Not to spook you or anything, but I thought you might be interested in knowing. Life in prison doesn't always mean life. There's precedent for first-time offenders being allowed out on parole after 20 years. Only if they're found to show remorse and the desire to reform themselves, of course. That's right, I'm impressed you know so much. Still, it's hard for someone with a criminal record to reintegrate in society. I hear they've been trying to fix that recently, matching inmates with jobs and accommodation. Oh, really? They keep an eye on them, of course, and make them report in for regular checkups. But to avoid discrimination, they keep the inmates' records a secret from anyone but their employers. They even give particularly notorious criminals new identities, so they won't be recognized in the workplace. My, the way you put it. It's like you're saying Fumichika Nijami could be out on parole right now. Back in society under a new name, with nobody any wiser. It's possible. As it happens, a little birdie told me about a big name making parole a few months back. I don't know if that was Najima, but our discussion just now did bring it to mind. I see. How unsettling. Now that you mention it, I just remembered something too. What was it? I was passing Kumagati High School a little while ago when I saw someone. A janitor, I think. And I could have sworn he reminded me of Fumichika Najima. Oh? He looked a little different after 20 years. Much thinner than I remember, too. I told myself I was just seeing things. But perhaps it was him after all. So, what next? The big question now is what the rest of the curse bearers are up to. Luckily, the Samadhi River is a good distance from any of the Seven Mysteries. It's unlikely the other curse bearers will come all the way here. I can finally have a moment to think. I see. Alright. You cannot currently progress any further. Once your situation has changed, select resume to try again. Pressing suspend will return you to the story chart. Okay, guys, so we're going to end it there, and when we start back, we're going to start back on Tatsumi's storyline, because I'm assuming we have to progress further in one of these, it could even be hers, to get this one to move further. So we're going to go ahead and stop there, like I said. Hopefully you've been enjoying the game. Leave a comment and tell me what you think about it, what you think might be going on with the game. Please leave a like, subscribe if you haven't, and share this video with anybody who might be interested. And I'll see you next time. Bye.